Hello everybody, bringing you another video, but this one's about extended combat zones in D&D 5e, 5th edition. Now, I watch battles in when I'm playing D&D and see that characters do not move much. So when they're in battle, they're sitting up right next to each other and they're not moving. They're kind of just sitting in their position. They set up right next to an enemy and attack from round to round. Why do they not move? Because if they move away, they will receive an attack of opportunity, which is basically giving a free attack to the enemy. The result is that combat is static. Players do not move much. Combat could be more fun. There could be more movement. So how do you do that? There is a way to open up combat to more movement. Now, in this picture over here to the right, we see a PC, and the red squares around the PC represent its reach for melee attacks. If an opposing PC enters a red square, our PC here can make a melee attack against the opponent. But now if the opponent tries to leave the red squares, our PC can make an attack of opportunity. The opponent will not want to leave. So they fight toe-to-toe for rounds and rounds and rounds, kind of boring sometimes. This is what happens with current D&D 5e combat rules. So we're going to make a simple change that will free up movement in combat. This is the extended combat zone. Simple change. 5 feet around the red squares are blue squares. The red squares and the blue squares make up a combat zone surrounding our PC. So if opponents enter a blue square, they enter into the combat zone and into the combat with our PC. If opponents want to leave the combat zone through a blue square and retreat, then they will receive an attack of opportunity from our PC. So we see here that this combat zone, this area of threatening squares around our PC there in the center, has expanded. It is larger. So basically, there is more room for movement within and around a character in battle. Once characters enter the combat zone, they can move between the red and blue squares without receiving attacks of opportunity. So they can enter those red squares where they can receive attacks from the PC in the center, and then move out to a blue square without receiving an attack of opportunity. It's all within this combat zone. In boxing, there are 3 styles of fighting: pressure boxing, outboxing, and boxer puncher. Pressure fighter keeps throwing punches toe-to-toe with the opponent, just stays in there locked in right next to each other and just keeps throwing punches. That's basically what the rules, the current rules in D&D 5e are set up to do. Just keep players right next to each other because one doesn't want to leave because it's going to get an attack of opportunity. But now an outboxer stays on the outside using reach as a weapon and keeping opponents at bay. That's like fighting in the blue squares. Now a boxer puncher switches between being a pressure fighter, someone who would fight in those red squares, and an outboxer, someone who would fight in those blue squares. So this extended combat zone allows for all 3 types of boxing styles, while current D&D 5e rules only encourage the pressure boxing style, toe-to-toe, in those red squares. So as you see here in this diagram to the right, a character has moved from that lower right position moved from a blue square right next to the PC, does an attack, and then moves out to the blue square and does not get an attack of opportunity because moving within the combat zone. So this is somewhat similar to a ranger coming out of cover to shoot a bow and then going back into cover. It's like you drive by, you do the attack, and you keep moving out to a blue square, and it's all within the combat zone. But if a PC wants to leave this area, it's going to get an attack of opportunity. But it can do all kinds of movement within this area, an expanded, extended combat zone for movement. Now, the combat zone has 2 zones, right? The red squares are where the attacks are happening, and the blue squares are the out zone. Now, Muhammad Ali used to use the 2 zones in boxing, and Ali's fights had a lot of movement around the ring because he would use the blue squares for position, defense, and drawing the opponent into attacks. Bruce Lee also used the blue squares in his fighting style. Bruce Lee would put space between himself and the opponent and then quickly attack as the opponent closed in. This was his style. So if a PC wants to leave the combat zone, they receive an attack of opportunity. So here over here to the right, we see a PC up there in the blue square wants to leave and go up. However, in order to make this attack of opportunity, our PC must make a 5-foot movement in this attack of opportunity toward the blue square that the opponent is leaving in order to have that blue square within its contact reach. Then after the attack of opportunity is done, the opponent can leave the combat zone. But our PC here in the center must move 5 feet in the direction that the opponent leaves in order to make that attack of opportunity. Think about that for a second. The PC making the attack of opportunity is basically forced to move to make that attack of opportunity. In strategy-wise, if you want to make that PC move in the direction, you can draw it in the direction you want it to go. So it has to move in that direction to do an attack of opportunity. Now, if our PC chooses to move that 5 feet to make an attack of opportunity, it is possible that our PC here in the center could receive an attack of opportunity from behind if flanked from behind by another opponent. And here you see it. You see down here that as the PC at the top moves out, the PC in the center moves in to make that attack of opportunity. And as it moves up to make that attack of opportunity, the PC down at the bottom in that blue square now says, hey, you're leaving my combat zone. Now I can make an attack of opportunity on you. And that PC at the bottom moves with the PC there in the center. And there's 2 attacks of opportunity because the PC who makes the attack of opportunity moves. And that can create other attacks of opportunity, which is all part of the strategy of the game. As the rules stand now, there is no risk to giving attacks of opportunity. It's like a free action. It's like, okay, just roll the dice, see if you hit. If you do it, you don't have to move, you don't have to change anything. You just throw it, see if you get hit, you do damage. But you don't take any risk. Now with this rule, there is a risk because a PC might receive an attack of opportunity when moving to make an attack of opportunity. Also, the PC may simply move into a less advantageous position, maybe toward a trap. So this rule for extending the combat zone opens up new possibilities for actions such as dodge, disengage, and ready action. I want to leave it up to players to figure out how they can creatively use dodge and disengage and ready action using this extended combat zone. There are many, many creative ways, and I don't want to give any ideas, but the strategies of combat are more realistic, more creative, more fantastic, and more fun with this rule. Try it yourself.